हॅलो
हॅलो.
हॅलो. ते तुमच्या पद्धतीने ऍडजस्ट करून असं लावायचं.
हॅलो. हॅलो. हां, थोडं स्लो वाटतं पण आवाज ना, आता ठीक वाटतं. हॅलो. हॅलो. हां, आता चांगला वाटतं, व्यवस्थित वाटतं. फर्स्ट पेजवर फर्स्ट पेजवर जायचंय. पेन कुठे गेला याचा? पेन. त्याचा पेन कुठे गेला यांनी? पेन कुठे ठेवला त्यानं? त्यांना एकदा बोलव ना, पेन कुठे ह्याचा? नोटपॅडचा. हा का? ओके. So, hi students, how are you? Fine, okay. So, my name is Pooja Auti and I'll be teaching you economics. So, I'll give a brief summary about myself. I'm a qualified cost and management accountant in December 2019 and I have 27 months of experience in the corporate with UBS and Citco in the product control department. So let's start. Okay, fine. So first of all, I would give, today is our first lecture. So I would give you some tips and tricks to clear this foundation exam, right? Because it is the base. Once you clear this exam, you can get an entry into the course, right? If you are not able to crack this exam, it will be a great issue for you to further, right? So first of all, we had a group, we discussed, right, allot equal time to all the 4 subjects, right? So not to focus just on one subject, because if you fail in one subject, right, you have to again sit for the exam even without, there is no option left, right? You have to prepare equally for all the 4 subjects. So give equal attention to all the 4 subjects. So as and when, focus on clearing the concepts. Don't just try to complete the MCQs for the namesake and this MCQ will come. That's not the case. This is a professional exam. You have to be clear on the concepts. If you are clear on the concept, any MCQ the institute puts into the examination, you will be able to give the correct answer, right? So focus on clearing the concepts. Any subject it may be, just focus on clearing your concepts. And third tip I would like to give you, all of you, as and when you complete this lecture, immediately go home and revise that topic, because it is fresh in your mind, right? When it is fresh in your mind and you revise it, it becomes what we mean to say, that will get imbibed in your brain. Today I teach you one topic. You go home and revise that topic, just the concept, or give just 10-20 minutes for the same topic immediately when you reach home. That becomes imbibed in your brain, because you have learned it immediately and you revise it immediately. Then the grasping power of your brain gets more faster, right? So follow these tips and tricks, and I hope all of you will clear the examination, right? Just be confident. So today we'll start on the topic with economics. Just I'll get on the page, first page. हँग होतं यार. पेज नंबर 11 ते दिसतोय आता. फॉन्ट साइज no. Any doubts you can ask. Feel free to reach out to me, right? Just a minute. $53 page are how to get into the first page module. Paper 4. It's not set here. Yes, I'm now on the first page. Make this font size big one. So can you see the module in which 30% weightage is given to which? Fundamentals of management, right? This fundamentals of management, the weightage is 30%, right? If you focus on this also, you'll get good marks. This is a trick, right? The weightage is 30%. Even though you read this section more thoroughly, more questions, the weightage is 30%. So if you clear these concepts on fundamental management also, only you can score good marks in economics. The weightage is 30%. So we'll move on later. The first topic, fundamentals of business economics. Okay. So what is economics? Right? Economics is a science. Every human being, every country, every nation, every individual, every institution has some wants, right? And there are some resources which we use to satisfy these wants, right? Suppose your father gives you a pocket money of 10,000 rupees. We take an assumption. It's just an assumption, but laugh. Yeah, so, and you have some basic expenses like you want to buy some books for your studies. You want to internet for your mobile, internet and calling, right? Or you want to have some, you want to get a sack for your studies, or you have some basic expenses, and you have some entertainment, like you feel like I'll go to a movie, or I'll buy something. So you have that amount you need to allocate in such a way that you first prioritize, like buying a book is very much important to you, right? Without it, it is a basic necessity to you. Without it, you can't study. That is at most important rather than going to a movie, right? Right? What I'm saying is valid. So first what you will do is buy a book for yourself out of that amount. You'll buy some pen or whatever you require. Buy a bag for your studies. So that is your priority. So first you'll use that amount given by your father as a pocket money to you to get what is more important to you, what is more necessary to you, right? You'll buy that first. Otherwise, you can do one thing also. You can buy a phone of 10,000 rupees. But is it a necessity to you? What is more important to you? First of all, studies, right? So that way, the scarce resources of amount given by your father as a pocket money, you will utilize it. That is a scarce resource, right? You don't have lakhs or billions of rupees. You have only that much amount, right? That is a scarce resource that you would be utilizing it to fulfill your wants. That is to bring your consumption goods, services. In similar case, that applies to a nation, individual, institution. In their case, they have certain amount and they want to utilize it to get some goods, services, or fulfill their wants, like for the consumption. So that we will be utilizing those scarce resources to fulfill our wants. And we cannot fulfill all our wants. Wants are unlimited, right? We will wish everything, whatever we see outside, we will feel like that is our want. Like I want this, I want that. But that's not the case. We can't fulfill our all wants because our resources are scarce, right? We have limited amount of money, limited amount of, in case of a nation, limited amount of natural resources that the nation has, or limited amount in case like budget. The government has limited amount of money, right? Budget. It can't do everything. So it has to allocate in a proper proportion so that the scarce wants in the welfare of the nation, how it can allocate it, that is the case. So economics is a science in which we have scarce resources and unlimited wants. So we utilize that scarce resources in a way to fulfill our unlimited wants. So I gave an example and explained you that. So we'll move on to the theory here.
Economics is one of the social sciences, right? And what is the main problem of economics? Society's resources into consumable commodities by using productive economics. So here it is given. It is a problem because human wants are unlimited and society's
Resources are limited. What I gave you example and taught you, like if your father gives you a pocket money, you have limited amount and your wants are
unlimited. So the central task of economics is to decide how much of which commodities are produced for the optimum satisfaction
satisfaction of human wants, right? In case of budget also we do the same thing. The government has limited resources and we use that scarce resources to fulfill the wants of the nation, to allocate it in such a way that the welfare of the nation, we prioritize it in a such way that the nation's welfare comes into existence. So this was a simple case of example of an institution. So economics can be there in case of a nation, in case of a financial institution, right? A company or an institution, in case of a country, in case of a nation. So these are the broader terms. I used a smaller term in case of an institution.
The firms and the households are the basic economic entities in an economy.
So in a nation, what are the, can anyone tell me in a nation what are the, who are the producers and who are the consumers? Suppose a nation, India, in that who will produce and who will consume? Households are the consumers. Households or individuals are the consumers. And the producers also are the companies or the institutions that produce, right? So it is a cycle, right? The households will only work for the institutions and get money from the institutions. The institutions will in turn get profit, right? And they will produce. By producing, they'll get profit. And in turn, they will again give back this profit to the consumers. So that is the case. So the firms are the production units, like what I told you. The firms, that is the organizations or the whatever the organizations are there, the companies are there in the nation. These are the production units, that is the producers. And the households are the consumption units.
These firms buy different factors of production such as machines, labors, raw materials.
Right? They purchase for to produce. What will these institutions do? They will use various resources, machines they will take. They will use the labor of the nation. They will take raw materials and then they will produce, right?
So, and sell different types of products and services.
The main aim of these firms is to maximize their profits. Any organization, any company, the main aim is to maximize the profit, right?
The households, on the other hand, try to maximize their satisfaction from their consumption of goods produced by the firms.
And what the households will think, right? I'm a household, right? We all are households. We buy goods, services of the companies or, right? So what we will think, the amount that I am paying to the for the product or the service. Is it worth it? I am getting the quality product. Am I satisfied with the product? That will be the thinking of the households, right?
So, subject matter of economics. In economics, a want is something that is desired.
Like, what is want? I want something. That is my desire. That is a want. But all desires are not economic wants, right? Everyone will have a desire. I want this, I want that. But all desires can be economic wants? No.
The desires which are achievable, covered by purchasing power, are
Economic wants. Which can be achieved, right? Anything, desire are unlimited. Like wants are unlimited. We can have unrealistic wants of people's mind, right? And so that which can be achieved are wants and purchasing power. It's like I want something. I give that person the money and I get that goods or service. That is a want.
right. Such goods, such wants give rise to efforts and thereby economic activity.
So I have a want. I want to buy a house. Anyone can have a want. So what that mentality, that desire or want will help me to do? It will give me a motivation to do some efforts to earn money, right?
So that give rise to efforts and
Thereby economic activity. That want will give me an motivation to do some effort to go out to earn money, and that will help me to achieve that want, right? Got it?
if one wants go to the moon, that cannot be constructed as economic want is and are not covered by purchasing.
Want is the starting part of economic activity, right? We have a desire or a want, so we have economics. Want is the starting power of
Any economic activity. And effort leads to satisfaction.
only if I have a want will that be useful. I want this, I want that. But if I don't do any efforts, I don't work hard, I don't give my efforts, will that help? No. So what is the starting thing of an economic activity? But the second step is that we have to give our efforts. We have to put all our efforts. We have to give our hard work. Then only that want will get satisfied, right?
So there are two steps. Want is the first step, then the efforts, and then the
Satisfaction. Got it?
So, the subject matter of economics is divided into four parts: production, technique and technology, exchange, distribution, value, price, and consumption.
We'll go into depth of each one of this, right? You're able to see the screen, or I should increase the font size?
Just a minute.
That will help to. Just a minute.
The notifications. It's not getting.
Now? Now it's visible, no?
But tell me if you have any issues. Be open here. Speak up.
It's not in one way you can convey. It's a two-way class that I want. Any doubts, any concerns, any issues. Sometimes I'm not able to see there. Like I am becomes difficult. Like you can tell me.
There's no concern. So we'll move on to production. In economics, production involves the creation of goods and services by using resources. It is a process to change raw materials into finished goods. It is nothing but creation of utility. To produce anything, so many factors are essential, right?
So if we go in a manufacturing company, what they do? They take raw materials they purchase raw materials. They use land, labor, capital, and land, labor, capital, and other resources to convert these raw material into finished goods, right? Right? And then what happened? And then they sell these goods and earn profit. Simple. So this is a production. In case of manufacturing organizations, they have told us. So what they will require to do this, convert raw material into finished goods, they'll require a land, they'll require some labor, they'll require capital, right?
Next is technique and technology. Technique is defined as the ratio in which inputs are combined together to produce one unit of the product. For example, if capital K and labor L are used in the production process, and if 1 unit of K is combined with 2 units of labor to produce 1 unit of product, the K is to L 1 is to 2 will be K is to 3 is to 4. And we know the technology, which is nothing but the spectrum of all available techniques. Here the knowledge of the 3 available techniques, K is to L 1 is to 2, K is to L 2 is to 3, K is to L 3 is to 4 will form the technology. See, for example, if capital K and labor L are used in the production process, capital 1 unit, labor 2 units
To produce 1 unit of labor, 1 unit of product. So the ratio they are given.
So the ratio, what will be the ratio? Capital will be 1, labor 1 is to 2.
Will produce 1 unit, right? That's the ratio. What they are telling us, the ratio of the resources that we are utilizing to create 1 unit of our product.
So next, exchange. When 2 individuals bring their products for trading purposes in the market, such act is called as exchange when trading is complete. In olden days, were exchange for goods, barter system, but this system is inconvenient.
Right. So everyone knows about the barter system, the exchange. In the olden days, what they used to do when there were no currency, right? When there was no rupee, any currency was not available in the nation, what they used to do? We want to do a trade. We both, they want 1 kg of wheat, give me 2 kg of rice. Right? So that is exchange. But what happens in that case? It is not a convenient case because we are not valuing each commodity equally. So sometimes what the commodity which is least valuable would get exchanged for a commodity which is more valuable, right? So there was no value created or equal because rice might be costly, wheat might be at a cheaper rate. So exchanging that, it was not equal in terms of monetary value. So that was exchange barter system in the olden days the people used to do.
So now we'll move on to distribution. Distribution means sharing of income among the factors of production. The total income which is generated by selling these goods and services in the market must be distributed among the factors of production in the form of rent, wages, interest and profit.
So any organization, take any organization, it is creating goods, services, then it is earning the profit. Okay. So is it that profit it will take away? Oh, no. It has to pay the rent. It has to pay the salary of the employees. It has to pay the dividend to the shareholders, right? It has to pay, if it has taken some loan, it has to pay interest. So it has to distribute that profit among the factors of production. It has to pay the rent of the apartment that it has taken. It has to pay salary to the employees. It has to pay the loan, interest on the loan if it has taken a loan for starting that business. It has to pay the dividend to the shareholders, any organization, right? So it has to distribute that profit among the factors of production, right?
So value. In economics, there are 2 types of value, use value and exchange value. Use value is the capacity of what satisfying power of any commodity. Or in other words, it is the utility of commodity. The use value of water is its ability to quench thirst.
Use value is like, it cannot be normal value, like use in value. So it cannot be measured in monetary terms, use value.
But what we have is,
if we drink water, what we'll feel? Our thirst is exhausted. That's the use value. But in exchange value, similar to the barter system, what we had. Exchange value. If I give you this pen, what will you give me in exchange? That is its exchange value.
Price. Price of a commodity is the amount of money which is exchanged for 1 unit of the commodity. It is the exchange value of the commodity in terms of money. The exchange value of the commodity in terms of another commodity may or may not change if the price of the commodity changes. For instance, let's take an example. If both prices are doubled, the exchange value between the two commodities will remain exchanged. If the price of the other commodity does not change by the same proportion, the exchange value will of course change.
So price of the commodity is, everyone knows the basic concept, like if I sell this pen to anyone, what amount will I get in exchange? That will be the price of this pen, right? So we are just grasping the basic concepts. We'll move on fast because these are just the basic concepts. Micro distribution. Micro distribution is nothing but pricing of factors of production. It means it explains how the price rent per unit of land is determined. In same way, how the price per unit of labor, wages, capital, rate of interest is determined is discussed in this head. Ricardian theory of rent, modern theory of rent, different wage theories, interest theories, profit theories, etc. are discussed. So let's go into micro distribution. So micro means what? Individual level. Like individual, any organization, single company, single institution, single individual, we will assess the price, the wants, every profit, everything on individual level. Macro is what? Macro distribution means sharing of total national income among the factors of production. It means we will come to know whether the income is distributed properly or not properly among the people in the society. Modern economics extended the subject matter of economics. They are added other concepts to the different dimensions of economics. They are employment, income, planning, and economic development and International. Micro and macro basic concept, you know all? Micro means at individual level and macro means at a broader level, that is a nation, national level, whole world, or similar to that, like 3-4 countries. That is a macro, and micro means at individual level, any organization, any individual, any institution.
Consumption. It is an act to use the goods or services to satisfy the wants. In economics, consumption is typically defined as final purchase by an individual that are not investments of some sort. In other words, when you buy food, clothes, aeroplane tickets, a car, that's consumption. Through consumption, the consumer destroys the utility of the commodity. This utility was created by the producer.
You can look into the
This utility was created by the producer through production. If someone buys a house to live in it, that should be defined as consumption. If they buy a house to rent it out to someone else, that should be defined as an investment.
So basic terminology, there is a difference between consumption and investment. If you buy something to fulfill your own needs, that's a consumption, right? And if you buy something to earn a source of income from that, that's an investment. Similarly, here they have given an example. See, if someone buys a house to live in it, that should be defined as a consumption. For own purpose, it's consumption. If you buy a house to rent it out to get some source of income from it, you'll get an income, rent. That's an investment. That's the basic difference between consumption and investment. Definitions of economics. We'll move on to the definitions. Wealth definition. Almost all the classical economists followed wealth definition. It is mostly associated with G.B. Say and Adam Smith. Adam Smith was called the father of economics. What he has given the definition? Economics is a study of science of wealth. Economics, as we discussed, is a study of wealth, right?
But what are the problems associated?
What are the problems associated with definition of Adam Smith? Is economics just a science of wealth? What we
Wealth is produced, consumed, exchanged, and distributed. It is a science of wealth, right? It is a science of wealth. But is the definition complete? No. Why?
Wealth is no longer useful unless it has human wants. Like everyone who has wealth has some wants. They want to satisfy those wants from that wealth, right? So it's not just simply saying that it is a science of wealth cannot be a complete definition. So it says that it is
Wealth is no longer useless if it satisfies.
human wants. So wants, resources, human welfare is missing. So the definition is
Incomplete. So second definition. The definition was given by Alfred Marshall in his famous book Principles of Economics. Economics is the study of mankind in the ordinary business of life. It examines that part of individual and social action which is most closely connected with the attainment and with the use of material requisites of well-being. What it is saying? It is on one side the
study of wealth, right? He is saying it is a study of wealth,
and on the other side it is a study of man.
the welfare of man, right?
Welfare concept is more important. It's not just the study of wealth, it is the study of welfare of man. So what it is saying?
थोड़ा इश्यू होता है ना. नॉर्मल है ना. ठीक है. ओके.
So there is a criticism, right? What they are saying?
This definition is also incomplete.
Why? Because Marshall neglected some material goods which do not promote human welfare, and economics
Must be neutral between ends.
right?
So it is a definition of, so it is a definition of study of wealth. It is a definition of human welfare, but again the scarce resources and wants are missing.
So now they are saying scarcity definition, Robbins definition. This definition was given by Leonard Robbins. He wrote a famous book, an essay on the nature and significance of economic science. Right? So what is the definition again?
They have modified the definitions.
And the third definition we are looking into, economics is a science which studies human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means which have alternative uses.
So here they are brought into the concept which I discussed at the start, that the wants are unlimited and we have scarce resources, right?
But merits are there. Again, there is a bit problem in this definition. So what is the criticism here? It is not a universal science. The definition was also criticized. So what they are saying?
And what is the problem in that definition is that there is a problem of choice and alternative uses of limited resources. Resources are limited, but each resource has alternative uses, right? Each resource, like what is that mineral oil? It can be used for various purposes, right? So this is a resource. It has alternative uses. So that is the missing point
In this definition. So last and the least
definition we'll be looking. This is the most important definition of economics.
look into it. This definition was given by James Keynes and P. A. Samuelson in the book written by Samuelson, Economics and Introductory Analysis. In this book, he gave a new definition of economics. Economics is the study of how men and society choose, with or without use of money, to employ the scarce productive resources. See here, scarce productive resources that have alternative uses to produce various commodities over a time for distributing their consumption now or in future among the various persons and groups in the society.
So scarce resources, unlimited wants, which have resources have alternative uses,
And these resources they are using to produce various commodities
over time, and then distributing that profit among among all the resources that have been utilized for generating that profit, right?
distributing them for consumption now and future among the various
persons and groups in the society. As we saw in the definition, right? A company, it will generate profit. Again, it will give back to the society, right? It will pay the rent. It will pay the labor, the salary of the employees. That is bad.
So, what are the scope of economics? Traditional approach, economics. Okay, we'll look. Economics is a social science.
What it studies? The behavior of the man, right?
It studies man's behavior. It is also a science of wealth, what we discussed. Earning and spending of income. Right. An individual, either as a consumer, producer, can optimize his goal in an economic decision.
So, for a nation, what it is? In analyzing economic problems and suggesting policy measures. Like, see, in our budget, what we do? We analyze what is the nation's need today, what problems the people are facing, where the improvements are required, right? So, we analyze this, study this, and then we suggest measures, and then we allocate the budget, right? So, analyzing the economic problems and then suggesting policy measures.
Social problems can thus be explained by abstract theoretical tools or empirical methods. Economics seeks to explain what the problem is and
how it tends to be solved.
in modern time it is positive and a normative science. Economics of today deal economics issues not merely as they are but as they should. Welfare economics and growth economics are more normative than positive. So now we will look into micro and macroeconomics.
Guys, you have attention?
Look, now we are starting with
We just discussed the definition of economics, basic concepts, and now we'll move on to
micro and macroeconomics. The microeconomics explains how the price of a good is determined, how the price per unit of factors of production is determined, and it also deals with theories of economic welfare. So microeconomics is called price theory.
So what we discussed, individual unit. So if a company produces an individual good, what will be the price of that good? So micro refers to an individual.
So, and microeconomics is called the price theory. Uses and significance of microeconomics. Understanding the operations of economy, economic welfare of people, managerial economics. The word macro is derived from the Greek word macros, meaning large or big.
We discussed, right? Micro and macro. So micro reads to an individual and macro at a broader level.
So the macroeconomics studies the economy as a single unit. It does not deal with individual units. It deals with aggregates or totals and averages. National income, full employment, total output, total
investment, total consumption, right? So national income, national employment rate, nationally what is the total consumption? These are the macro concepts.
Scope of macroeconomics. Macroeconomics studies about the national income, that is calculation of the national income, trends in the national income. It also deals with total employment, full employment, total output. It also studies about trade cycles, inflation.
Broader concepts like inflation, full employment, total consumption, macro level concepts, national level concepts.
It also deals with theories of economic growth, macro theory of distribution. It is also called income and employment theory.
So both micro and macro are important for the national analysis, right?
So both micro and macroeconomics are independent. From 1930 onwards, there is a importance to the macroeconomics.
Right? So why macro, they are saying it's important? Because a national level, rather than solving a problem of an individual, will be more beneficial, or solving national level problems will be more beneficial. National, right? When you solve broader level problems like for the nation, every individual's problem will be automatically, most of the problems of the individual will also be solved, right? So when you focus on national employment, national consumption, national increase in the total output of the nation, in turn, when the nation grows, every individual of the nation will grow, right? So
They are saying macroeconomics.
has been given more importance.
Macroeconomics analyzes some
Problems of the economy.
level of output and employment, fluctuation in the level of output, employment and national income, changes in the general price level, economic growth and economic development, theories of distribution. Significance of macroeconomics: understanding the working of the economy, formulating policies, preparation of economic plans, taking remedial measures of trade cycle and inflation.
So what is the flow of the macroeconomics? Anyone can tell?
We were just reading.
Like we will understand how the nation works. Any nation, like it's USA, America, Canada, India, how it's working, the working flow of the nation. Then we will try to formulate what are the problems the individuals or the nation is facing, and then we will formulate the policies, right, to tackle these problems so that there is a growth of the nation, the growth of every individual in the nation, what the government thinks, right? So we will analyze these problems, then we will take remedial measures, right? And then we will implement these measures so that every individual in the nation grows. So that is the macro concept.
Here what they have: understanding the working of the economy,
Then formulating, the government will formulate the policies, then it will take remedial actions so that there is the growth of every nation.
So, economics as an art or science. Meaning of science: a systematic
Body that cause and effect relationship. Like every science, what we have, whether it's physics, anything, it analyzes cause and effect relationship.
So why we are saying it is a science?
Because it analyzes cause and effect relationship. Like if the nation is facing these problems, if I take these remedial measures, ultimately this growth or this improvement will be there in the nation. So it is a science.
Observation of certain facts, systematic collection and classification and analysis of facts.
Right? The government, what it does to count out the literacy rate in India, it will observe, it will analyze, it will collect the material, right? It will collect the information. It cannot analyze how much the literacy is there in India. To do this, the government has to employ people to get to know how much till what is the education till 12th, graduation, post graduation, are they working or not, and for this they have to collect the systematic information and then come to a conclusion, right? So these techniques we use in economics, right?
So that's why it's a science. Making generalization on the basis of relevant facts and formulating laws or theories thereby. Subjecting in the theories to the test of real world observations. Like the subjects physics, chemistry, botany and economics also satisfies the above four criteria, right?
It has a cause and effect relationship. It observes the facts, collects the data, and then comes to a conclusion, right? Then it makes a generalization, makes generalized statements, and subjecting in the theories to test real world observations.
So it's a science. Economics as an art. Keynes defined art as a system of rules for the attainment of a given end. Right? The object of art is to formulate rules to be used for the formulation of policies. Difference between science and art. Science is theoretical but art is practical. Science teaches us to know and art teaches us to do. Economics is science in its methodology and art in its applications. Hence, economics is considered as a science as well as art. So, is economics a positive science or normative science? We'll look into this. Positive science. The positive science explains what it is, what ought to be. It explains about the things as they are.
So, what is positive science?
They are saying
this is what it is. Like, suppose we say it is a fact. So, what it is? What it is means it's a fact. We have some theories, right? Theories in various subjects. So, what it is a fact. And what ought to be means we decide it should be like this. This is the fact, but we think it should be like this.
So that is what ought to be. It explains about the things as they are.
It tells if something is like that and anyone says it is what it is, like this is in a this way, this works in this way, it is a fact.
So that is a positive science. Economics as a normative science. A normative science explains what ought to be and what not ought to be.
Like it says it should be like this, but it should not be like this.
That is a normative science. It does relate to value judgments. It deals with good, bad,
Right, wrong, right? Normative science says these are the right things. The organization should work in this way. You should follow these rules. You should not work in this way. This is the wrong thing. You should not follow this approach.
That is a normative science.
So it clearly makes a distinction. Normative science clearly makes a distinction between what it should be. This should be in this way and this should not be in this way. So this is right, this is wrong.
According to Alfred Marshall, economics is a normative science.
So economics is both a positive science as well as a
Normative science. To conclude, economics is both positive and normative science. Now we'll move on to deductive method and inductive method. Deductive method is a static analysis and inductive method is a dynamic analysis. Deductive method. It is also called priori method, abstract method and analytical method. In this method, the law of theories are prepared on the basis of fundamental assumptions. In this method, the logic proceeds from general to particular.
general to particular. Like what economics do is they use various methods to write some theories or make some to come at a conclusion. So there are two methods, deductive method and inductive method.
So deductive method, what it does,
It goes from a general to particular. So it will analyze at a national level and then it will come to a particular company, particular individual. So from a broader level to a narrow level, that is general to particular. So
how deductive method works? It works from general to particular. Inductive method. In this method is also known as historical method or statistical method. In this method, the laws or theories are prepared on the basis of facts or statistical data.
they collect some data and based on that they will derive a theory. What theories we see in economics are based on statistical or historical data. They'll collect some statistical or historical data of the nation
And then they will derive a theory. In this method, the logic proceeds from
particular to general. They will collect the data of an individual and then they will make a general conclusion.
and in deductive method,
What they will do? They will collect data of general and then come to a particular conclusion.
so deductive method is from general to particular and inductive method is from particular to general. For example, law of variable proportion, law of returns to scale, population theories. Modern economists follow inductive method. Central problems. Now this is very much important. Central problems of all economies. Due to the scarcity of resources, every economy faces problems.
Right? India had some availability of different resources in abundance. UK had some different resources in abundance. Canada has some resources in abundance, but some resources in scarce, right? Every nation has the same scenario. So they will have some resources in abundance, some resources scarce. So
Every economy has that problem. So
how do they deal with this problem?
what to produce? An economy should produce something on the basis of requirements of the society, right?
If the society does not require it, abundance means large.
An economy should produce something on the basis of
Requirements of the society, right? If the society requires it, then only it should produce. If the society does not require, if I produce something and you will not consume it or you will not buy it, will it be fruitful? No.
So the first is economy should produce something on the basis of requirements of the society.
The society requires it, there is a need, then only the economy should produce it.
Further, if the present is given importance, the resources are diverted for production of consumer goods. If future is given importance, the resources are diverted for the production of capital goods.
So there are consumer goods and capital goods.
So, according to the requirement,
In present, more resources will be allocated to use of consumer goods, and in future more resources will be allocated to the use of capital goods. Like according to the requirement of the society, the allocation will be made like more capital goods will be produced or more consumer goods will be produced. So what to produce? If the society requires it, we will produce. Simple. What to produce? The society requires it, the nation or the economy will produce it.
how to produce? The problem is arising because of unavailability of resources. A country may produce by labor-intensive technique or capital-intensive technique depending upon its manpower and stock of capital.
Like, so if you want to produce a good, there are two techniques. Either we will use the labor, or what we can do is we can, instead of employing the labor, we will purchase a machinery
Like capital.
and then we can produce that. So there are two options or two alternatives available for how to produce. Either we will use the labor or we will use the machinery to produce.
So, it will depend on the
So if the nation has manpower, it will use labor intensive technique, right? And if it has capital, it will use capital intensive technique. You got it? Like if we want to produce something, we will either use a labor or a machinery. Simple. These two ways are there, only the ways to produce anything. So if we don't have capital to purchase that machines, what we'll do? We'll employ the labor if we have labor in the nation to produce the goods. If we don't have labor, much availability of labor in the nation, we will not use the labor intensive technique. We'll use capital intensive technique. We'll produce it through the machinery. But what will require for that is capital to produce to purchase the machine. Sorry, not to produce, purchase.
for whom to produce. Government policy determines what are the commodities to be produced and for whom. One can make a conjecture for the pattern of a production of the country. If the government decides to produce more ordinary buses than luxury cars, then one can understand the country is producing for the poor
And not for the rich. So, how to produce? We'll use either a labor intensive technique or capital intensive technique. What to produce? It will depend totally on the need and the requirements of the society. And for whom to produce will be decided by the government policy of the economy, right? The government will decide. See, looking at the current scenario, the government wants that every poor person can afford anything. So what it will do? It will formulate policies which are required more into the ordinary people or the middle class people, and then that according to that policy the goods will be for whom to produce, that is for the ordinary or the middle class people. So the government policy will determine for whom to produce.
Next,
These three are important. You got the three, everyone? For what to produce, for how to produce, and for whom to produce. Let's revise. What to produce? It will depend on the requirements of the society or the need of the economy. How to produce? Labor intensive, capital intensive, whatever availability you have in the economy, that will decide which technique you will use. And for whom to produce will totally depend on the government policy, what is the scenario in the country, and what the government wishes for the national welfare, right?
utility, wealth and production. Utility is a measure by which a consumer scale of preference on good or service is quantified. Production, on the other hand, is the quantity obtained from the use of different efficient combinations of different factor inputs. The later part we will come to these two concepts in detail. Okay, so
We will move on to next. Fine, na? Up till now, no doubts. Anyone has any doubt? Okay.
wealth. The stock of goods under the ownership of a person or nation is called a wealth. See,
So wealth. Everyone had some wealth, right? You either have a house, you have some gold, you have some anything that could be like you have. Everyone has some type of wealth. So there are two forms of wealth:
personal wealth and national wealth.
so if I have a house, is it a personal wealth or a national wealth? Personal wealth. If I have some company, is it a personal wealth or a national wealth? I don't have that company. It is both, as well as personal as well as the national wealth.
So, personal wealth. The stock of goods under the ownership of a person is called a personal wealth. Ownership of a person is a personal wealth. For example, houses, buildings, furniture, land, money in cash, company shares, stocks, or other commodities, health, goodwill can be considered to be the parts of individual wealth. So when it aligns to an individual, it's a personal wealth. But in economics, only transferable goods are considered as wealth. National wealth. The stock of goods under the ownership of the nation is called as national wealth. It includes the wealth of common property of all the citizens in the country. For example, natural resources, roads, parks, bridges, hospitals, public education institutions. If the citizen of the country holds a government bond, it is a personal wealth. But from the government point of view, it is a liability. So it should not be considered as a part of wealth of nation.
So I hold, there are some bonds, and I buy some bond of the government, which the government issues, right? I'll get some interest from that bond, and the principal amount after the bond value, bond duration gets matured, right? So is it a personal wealth or a national wealth? No, it's not a national wealth. How can it be a national wealth? See, if I buy a bond, you know the concept of the bond? So I'll first explain you the concept of the bond. So what is a bond? See, government wants to build roads, bridges. So for that it will require some funds. So instead of taking the loan from the bank, what the government thinks at a higher rate of interest, what the government does is to collect that money to build the road or the bridges. Instead of loan at a higher rate of interest, it will collect the money from the general public. And what it will do, after a certain duration of time, it will pay back that principal. You know the concept of principal, right? Principal and the interest for that duration. So what government helps? The national welfare from the money of the people only, with a lower rate of interest. If it takes that amount from a bank, it will have to pay a very high rate of interest. So what bonds do is, government bond, what we pay, I purchase suppose 10,000 rupees of government bonds. I pay that amount, I get a bond from the government for 10 years. So at a rate of 7% of interest. Just a minute, I'll complete, then you can ask. 7% of interest. So every year I'll get that interest, and after 10 years of maturity, I'll get back my 10,000 rupees. So that is the concept of bond. So it's similar to that. You pay principal, you get an interest, and you get back that principal from the government. So in this case, the bond which I have purchased from the government is my personal asset, right? So it is a personal wealth, not the government wealth. But government wealth is what? It is not creating any wealth to the government. You will pay back me the amount, right? Simple logic. See, if it is a government wealth, what is a government wealth? The natural resources that the government have. Can the government say that 10,000 rupees which I have taken from me, the government has taken from me, will the government say it is my wealth? Is any benefit to the government? It is not its wealth. It can't keep back that 10,000 rupees and say it's my wealth, right? It has to pay me back that 10,000 rupees. So there is no benefit to the government in such case. We will be getting an interest. We will also get benefit, right? So the main benefits which are there are to us only, right? Logic. Got the logic? The main benefit is to us. Government benefit that the roads and the bridges are constructed is not to the government also. It is to the nation only. It is to us only. So all the benefits which we will have are the roads and the bridges will be constructed. That will be also our benefit only. So it's not a national wealth.
So what is a national wealth? Natural resources, roads, park, bridges, hospitals.
We can't claim that this government hospital is mine. So that is the government hospital that we have in our nation is a government wealth.
The road that we have
Is the government wealth. Bond that we purchase from the government is a personal wealth. Got the logic you got? Confused. So the simple logic is that I'll pay the 10,000 rupees to the government, right? I'll get that interest. First benefit, I'll get the interest. Second benefit, I'll get back that amount from the government. So it's my benefit only, na? Personal wealth and government wealth. National wealth. Bridge, road, government hospital. That is a national wealth. Bond. Bond is a personal wealth. Even though if we purchase it from the government. The logic is that in turn we are benefiting. We are getting the interest as well as the principal amount back.
wealth and welfare. Welfare means well-being or happiness. Generally, if the level of wealth increases, welfare also increases. It is doubtful whether the welfare increases if a nation goes on creating wealth without paying any consideration to the health and mental peace of the citizens, whether welfare increases. It is doubtful if the wealth is not properly distributed.
See, the concept what they are saying is wealth and welfare. So, mostly what happens if the wealth of the nation is increasing, the welfare is, we think that the nation's welfare is good. But this cannot happen every time.
What may happen is that it is doubtful whether the welfare increases if a nation goes on creating wealth without paying any consideration to the health and mental peace of the citizens.
So even if the wealth increases, the country's people are not healthy and they don't have a peace of mind, mental peace, we will say only wealth is increasing. Is there any welfare? No. And even if the nation has lot of wealth, but there are very poor people in the country and they are not getting basic amenities. So only there is wealth to the nation. Is the nation having welfare? So it's not every time that if the nation has lot of wealth, there is welfare in the nation.
So that they are trying to explain.
If the wealth is there, nation is wealthy, but the wealth is not properly distributed among the people. There are very poor people. They don't get basic amenities, food, well-being, education. The nation is just wealthy, but well-being is not there in the nation.
Wealth and income. A person or a nation consumes a part of income and saves the rest. These savings are accumulated in the form of wealth. Wealth is a stock owned at a point of time. Income is a flow over a period of time.
This is a simple concept, wealth and income.
We'll discuss the difference between wealth and income. What is the wealth?
I earn something. I will use that amount to purchase some basic amenities, whatever I require. And out of that amount, I will save something, right? I will save. Suppose I earn 10,000 rupees. So I'll consume 6,000 rupees and I save 4,000 rupees. So these savings will accumulate and create wealth. Savings in turn accumulated will create wealth.
Wealth is a stock owned at a point of time.
Income is a flow over a period of time. Income is flow over a period of time. Income is that you get it. It is a flow. Like you will get every other time income, but wealth is at a particular point of time. So the simple logic is you earn something, you consume out of it, and the amount that you save, you generate wealth from that savings.
Production. It refers to the creation of goods for the purpose of selling them into the market. In word, production means creation of utility. When a child make a doll for playing for her enjoyment, it is not called production, but the doll maker who sells these dolls in the market is engaged in the production. So they have given an example here. Production.
So, there is a small child in your family and the child wants a doll to play. So, if you go and purchase that doll from the market, who is the producer or who has made the production? The child or the person who has sold the doll? Yeah, the manufacturer or the person who has sold the doll is the person who has made the production, not the person who has purchased the doll. So, person who has purchased the doll is the consumer, right? And the person who has sold or from whom we are purchased are the basic agent of the producer. We can say is not the producer but the agent or the intermediary in the production process.
The factors of production we have already discussed. The goods and services with the help of which the process of production is carried out are called the factors of production. The total factors of production are land, labor, capital and organization. These factors of production are called inputs. The goods and services produced with these inputs are called output.
Like similarly we discussed previously, right? To produce will require land, will require labor, will require some capital, and so these are the factors. These are the inputs. We'll use them. We'll first input these resources and then we will get the output.
Production possibility curve. The PPC is also called the production possibility frontier, production possibility boundary and production transformation curve. The PPC curve shows the various combinations of two commodities that can be produced by an economy with the given resources and given technology.
So what is a PPC curve? It is a production possibility curve. So it will show, suppose I have two resources. Everyone pay your attention. It is important topic, PPC curve. So I have two resources. So how much I can produce possibilities, like I can produce, I have 10 resources. So I have two resources A and B. I can produce out of those 10 scarce resources. I can produce out of those 10 resources, I can produce product A as well as B. So PPC curve is a possibility that how much I can produce A and how much I can produce B. So if I produce A in large quantities, will B be also there in large quantities or small quantities? Because more resources will be utilized for A, less resources will be left, and when in B will also be in smaller quantities. So that is just a possibility.
So if I will use different here, so 10 resources are there, A, B. So if I produce one of A, out of those 10, I will use 9. So this is a combination. Again, I have 10. If I produce 2 of A, I can produce, look into the screen, 8. If I again have another possibility is if I produce 3 of A, I can produce 7 of B, right? Another possibility is that if I produce 4 of A, I can produce 6 of B. Another possibility is that if I produce 5 of A, I can produce 5 of B. Another possibility is that if I produce 4 of A, I can produce 6 units of B, right? Another possibility is again that if I produce 3, I can produce 7. No, 3, 4, 5, sorry. Yeah. If I 5, 6, sorry, 6, 7, 3, then 8, 2, then 9, 1, and again one possibility is also there. If I produce
All of A and don't produce anything of B.
10, 0, and again one more possibility. Huh. I produce all 10 for B
I use all the resources to produce B.
and nothing to A. So these are all the possibilities. Got it? So this is the production possibility curve. These are all the possibilities. And we will plot these all the possibilities on a curve. Let's see. Just a minute. The PPC is also called production frontier, production possibility transformation curve. Various combinations of two commodities that can be produced by an economy with the given resources and technology. So these are the possibilities, and we plot these possibilities on a curve. And what this curve looks like? Everyone is seeing the curve? Yeah. The PPC curve always slopes downward from left to right. If we plot these possibilities on a PPC curve, it will slope downward from left to right. From left to right. Remember this. Because when the production of one commodity is increased, the production of other commodity will be foregone. This is due to the resource constraint of the economy. Like we saw here, right? Suppose if we produce 9 of B, we can only produce 1 of A. Because we have scarce resources. If we produce one in larger quantity, the other will be lesser. So that's by the PPC curve. If we plot this on a production possibility curve, it slopes downward from left to right. The slope of the PPC curve at any given point is called marginal rate of transformation. This slope defines the rate at which the production of one good can be directed into production of other. It is also called opportunity cost. Everyone knows the concept of opportunity cost? No, I'll discuss it. So, if I have 1000 rupees, let's discuss with an example. If I have 1000 rupees and I have two options, either to purchase a bag or to, what we can say, purchase some study material. I have these two options, study material along with books and pen or anything like that. So I have these two options. Out of this 1000, if I purchase the bag, what is the opportunity cost? What is the opportunity resource? Yes, I had the opportunity to purchase that study material along with the book and the pen, but I foregone that opportunity and purchased the bag. That is the opportunity cost. So now we have discussed the concept of opportunity cost. Now we'll go into marginal rate of transformation. The slope of the PPC curve at any given point is called marginal rate of transformation. This slope defines the rate at which production of one good can be redirected into production of another. Marginal rate of transformation. Here also there is an opportunity cost. If you use all for 9, I can use less for A. So we are foregoing the B so that we are foregoing A or B to get any one of it increase or decrease. Like we are using the opportunity cost. So anywhere if I produce A, I will produce B less. If I produce B more, I will produce A less. So that is because of resources are scarce. It is a concave to the origin because marginal rate of transformation goes on increasing. So now we have an example how marginal rate of transformation goes on increasing. Suppose we are on the point D of the left diagram in figure 1.2. Let's see. 1.2. Where is the figure 1.2? Figure 1.2 is up or what? Huh? Okay. Let's see. Okay, it's 1.3. 1.3. Figure 1.3. D. So we can see the point D. Let's discuss here. We are on the point D on the left hand diagram. If we now try to move to right, we are in fact throwing away guns and taking butter instead. There are some specialist input which are meant for gun factory which will be useless in the butter factory. So gradually more and more inputs become unemployed. Hence, the sacrifice of the same number of guns will yield less and less amount of butter as we move to the right, and this will result in a concave curve. In other words, the marginal rate of transformation will be falling. So what they are saying is, if we see on point D, they have discussed in case of guns and butter.
So guns are different and butter is different. Butter is a basic necessity and guns are very dangerous to the economy, right? So these two are different types of goods. Both are not necessities. Guns are not recommended for any nation, that its production more is not recommended for any nation, but butter, it is required and it is a necessity.
So what they are saying is that if we try to move to the right, so like from D to C, like to the right, we are in fact throwing away guns and taking butter instead, right? What we are doing is
moving to the right. Down is butter. So if we move to the right, the quantity of butter will increase, right? Because butter is on the x-axis and guns are on the
y-axis. So if we move right, the butter will increase, production of butter will increase. Throwing away,
and guns, the production of guns will be reduced.
there are some specialist input which were meant for gun factory will be used.
Useless. Like if we, look here guys, we have some resources, but out of these resources, some of them are useful for the production of guns. And if we increase only butter, if we more quantity of butter, some of the resources will remain useless, will become useless, right? Because we are producing butter and they were useful for producing guns. So those resources will be useless.
That they are seeing here. So gradually more and more inputs will become
unemployed. So most of the inputs that we have, resources are useless. So inputs, these are the inputs. So they are unemployed.
Hence, the sacrifice of same number of guns will yield less and less amount of butter as we move to the right, and we have a concave curve. In other words, the marginal rate of transformation
will be falling. So the marginal rate of transformation is falling. Got it?
Note, the PPC curve is a straight line. The opportunity cost is constant. All the combinations which lie on the PPC curve
Are possible combinations, right? As we discussed, PPC curve is a production possibility curve. All the points on it are the possible combinations.
the points beyond the PPC curve are
Impossible combinations, right? It is just on the PPC curve, they are possible combinations, and if any point beyond the PPC curve, it's not a possible combination.
shift of PPC curve is nothing but
Economic growth. Like what happens?
shift of the PPC curve. We'll discuss this. It's an important topic. So this is the PPC curve, production possibility curve. If this PPC curve gets shifted to the right, here, you're able to see? If it shifts here, what it means is that there is an economic growth in the nation.
Why? Anyone can tell the logic? See, we have, as we discussed, we had some resources. Out of those scarce resources, the quantity of both the resources that are that are produced increases. If the PPC curve shifts right, what is the logic? The quantity of both the resources that we are producing is naturally increasing. This could be due to the technological shift or advancements, right? Anything, the production is increasing. So out of the scarce resources, the possible production was this much. But if to the technological advancement, the production increases, that means there is a growth. We are producing more resources out of the available resource. We are producing more goods out of the available resources. So that is a growth in the nation, right? So the shift of the PPC curve will be economic growth, because both the quantities of the goods will be produced, will increase, and this could happen. What may be the reason? Technological advancements
in the nation. PPC curve solves the economic problems. If we choose a point on the PPC curve, then we will be able to solve the first economic problem, that is
what to produce, right?
Since the chosen point on the PPC curve, we are utilizing all the resources fully and efficiently. Now the question is how to land up on a point on the PPC curve.
You see, simple. What to produce? We take a point, we'll get how much we want to produce.
Now the question is how to land up on a point on the PPC curve. Adam Smith identified an invisible hand which will guide the economy to reach the coveted point. The invisible hand is nothing but the price system. If too little has been produced, demand for the goods will exceed supply.
This is a common logic. Like if we produce less and the wants are more than that, the price of that good will increase, because the price depends on the demand and supply. Everyone knows this basic. The price of the good will always depend on the demand and supply. If the demand for the good is more and the supply is less, the price of the goods will increase, will be high. But if the demand is less and the supply of the goods is more, then what's the use? Then the price will be low.
So what they are saying? It will depend on the
Price system, what we discussed now.
if too little has been produced, demand for the goods
Would exceed supply. We saw this.
This would push the price of that good. This will induce the producer to produce more for that good than the others. Once we have solved the first question of what to produce, next question comes
How to produce. We discussed what to produce according to the need of the society, economy. Whatever the society or the economy, every individual has the need, that only will produce, not anything.
how to produce. A labor intensive technique would employ relatively more labor and little capital. A capital intensive technique will do opposite. Which technique is to be chosen depends on the prices of factors of production.
See, we saw how to produce. There are two techniques: capital intensive technique, labor intensive technique. If you use labor intensive technique, we have to pay to the labor and more labor and little machinery. So less capital and more payment to the labor salary. If the capital intensive technique, more capital will be required because the machinery is more and little labor. So little payment to the we will make to the laborers and more capital will be invested in the
Machinery. So how it will be dependent? Which technique is to choose it depends on the prices of factors of production. If labor is cheap and the capital is expensive, a labor intensive technique will be chosen.
simple now. Every human being will choose whatever is cheap. So every organization or a company, what they will think, whatever is cheap, they will produce. So if labor is cheap, they will use labor intensive technique. If capital is cheap, they will use capital intensive technique.
The third question is for whom to produce. A commodity is consumed only by people who have the purchasing power. When the price system describes the price of labor, the wage rate and the amount of labor to be employed is also determined by the income of workers and their purchasing power.
Simple. For whom to produce? Anyone who can purchase, for that person only will produce. A person who cannot purchase it, will we produce for that person? No. Person who has purchasing power, who can purchase it by giving us money, or for that person we will produce. And for that person should have purchasing power. To have a purchasing power, what we require? Income, right? Income. More the income, more the purchasing power. Because you can purchase more, right? Simple logic.
Determines on the income of workers their purchasing power. Thus, when the prices of every commodity and every factor of production is determined, we know which commodity will go to which consumer in what quantity. Money. Anything which is widely accepted in exchange of goods or in settling debts is regarded as money. Barter system existed before the introduction of money. Yeah, simple as it. Under barter system, goods are exchanged for goods.
We saw this concept, right? Everyone is clear on the barter system? We saw,
Yeah, that's not that. We'll move further. When some commodities are used as medium of exchange by customs, it is called customary money. We will look into constituents of money supply. Rupee, notes, coins, credit cards, traveler's check.
everyone knows about credit card.
Okay, fine. Traveler's check also fine. Income. We'll move on next. Income. The net income of money, purchasing power of a person over a certain period of time is called income. For example, daily income, weekly income, monthly income, and yearly.
Whatever a person earns by doing some effort or by working somewhere, that is income. So that can be a daily income, weekly income, monthly income, and yearly income. So saving. Saving is defined as income minus consumption, right? So suppose if I earn 20,000 rupees and I consume out of that 12,000 rupees. So how much is my saving? So what it is, how will be saving determined? Income.
Saving is generated out of current income and also out of past income. Market. In ordinary language, the term market refers to a place where goods are bought and sold. But in economics, it refers to a system by which buyers and sellers establish contact with each other directly or indirectly with the view of purchasing and selling commodity. Look into this concept, market. It is very important. What is a market?
Market is where there is a buyer, there is a seller, they are ready to purchase by a purchasing system, directly, indirectly, right? They should be ready to purchase also, not only a buyer seller. If the buyer is not ready to purchase, then it is not a market. If the buyer has no purchasing power, money, only if he is ready to purchase, will that be a market? You should have that purchasing power, that income, that money to purchase, right? So this criteria is also important. There should be a buyer, there should be a seller. The buyer should be ready to purchase. He should have the purchasing power. Right? There should be a mutual consent between those to exchange the goods and get that.
Right? Functions of a market. To determine the price of goods, to determine the quantity of goods.
See, in this buyer-seller game only, it will be determined what will be the price of the commodity and what will be the quantity of the goods purchased, right? See, if there are more sellers and less buyers, what will be the price of the goods? Will the price of the goods be high or low? Yes. More sellers, less buyers. So goods are more, but the people to purchase those goods are less. So the price will be low. Other situation, if there are more buyers in the market and less sellers, what will be the price? Yeah. And now we'll look onto the quantity of goods. There is a seller and there is a buyer. So there is a lot of demand for the product in the market. So will the producer produce more or less? And very less demand, or people don't want that product due to any reason, because it is not a necessity or anything. Will the producer produce more or less? So what the market only determines what will be the price of the good and how much quantity the goods will be produced. So the price of the goods and the quantity of the goods will be determined by the buyer and seller influence in the market. Got it?
So, market mechanism. Market mechanism means the totality of all the markets. That is, the market of all the goods and services in the economy. The market mechanism determines the price and quantities brought and sold of all the goods and services.
The market will only determine like how much, what will be the price and what quantity it will be produced, how much it will be bought, how much it will be produced, how much it will be sold, right?
Capital, stock and investment.
Just 2 minutes. We'll have 2 minutes break. I'll take some water. Yes, yes, yes. But be quick, huh? I am going to start again. Come back within 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Are you all able to understand the concepts? Yeah. Okay. No, this is what is that. These are the basic concepts. So only one example is fine because the more importance will be given. These are all the basic concepts. Everyone is familiar with exchange, barter system, price, value. So I'm not focusing much on that. When we will go to the broader theory concepts where we will have the concepts which are not familiar, we'll use 2 to 3 examples, right? We'll go in detail. These are the basic concepts, right? So we will take more examples if you require, right? हाँ हाँ हाँ, मुझे भी ऐसा लग रहा है इसमें जो दिख रहा है ना उसका कुछ पार्ट नहीं है बुक में, तो बुक का भी ले लेंगे। 1 मिनट रुकिए, फिर ये रोक देती हूँ मैं, कुछ हम लोग लेते हैं बुक का भी, चलेगा, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं। मैंने बुक लाया है, चिंता मत करो आप। उसमें हम चेक करेंगे जो जो कंसेप्ट इसमें कवर नहीं हो, बुक में है पर इसमें नहीं। आप क्या बोले, नहीं समझा मुझे। हाँ, नहीं फिर वो सिखा, मतलब मैं कुछ अपने कंसेप्ट, अपने एग्जांपल दे रही हूँ आपको, कुछ ऐसे कुछ है इसमें। इसका आपको इसके इंस्टीट्यूट पे इसके मिलेगा ना आपको, इसका ये इंस्टीट्यूट के साइड पे जहाँ पे आप उसका इकोनॉमिक्स फाउंडेशन करके पीडीएफ डाउनलोड कर लो, उससे पढ़ो, कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। दोनों देखो ना, दोनों मटेरियल देखो, जहाँ पे अच्छा लग रहा है, जो कंसेप्ट जहाँ पे अच्छा समझ में आ रहा है वो देखने का। नहीं, वही मैं बोल रही हूँ ना आपको, ये तो इंस्टीट्यूट के अपनी वेबसाइट पे होगा ना। इंस्टीट्यूट के आपकी जो वेबसाइट है www.icmi.in, उस पे जाके इकोनॉमिक्स का फाउंडेशन का आप जो है ना स्टडी मटेरियल वो डाउनलोड करो, और ये वही है, उसको डाउनलोड कर लो और दोनों देखो, बुक भी देखो, ये भी देखो, सब देखने का है। ऐसा नहीं बस बुक देखने का, ये भी देखो, बुक भी देखो, जहां पे आपको कंसेप्ट अच्छे से एग्जांपल के साथ समझ में आ रहा है वो पढ़ो। समझे क्या आप? दोनों वो डाउनलोड कर लो, आपके मोबाइल में हो या आपके लैपटॉप में, समझा? कव्हर नाही केलं यार आहे ना। नाही, ठीक आहे, आहे डॉक्टर हे सगळं आहे। तर काय करायचं, मार्केट मेकॅनिझम सर। 1 minute, only 1 minute now. कंफर्टेबल? करे चालू? हाँ. Capital stock and investment. Investment is the increment in the capital stock. So first of all, we'll understand the concept of the capital stock. Capital stock is like the stock that a company has. Like suppose there is a manufacturing company. What is its capital stock? The machinery that it has, right? The large amount of investment that it has made in the machinery, it is its stock as well as capital that it has invested to purchase that machinery. So it is a capital stock. So suppose with 100 machines, the economy can produce at maximum 1 lakh units of output. So if the company has 100 machines and out of these 100 machines, it uses raw material and that gets produced. How much it gets produced? Out from this 100 machines, it produces 1 lakh units of goods. So 100 machines are what? Capital stock, right? I told you. Like in a company, the whatever the machinery that it has, it is its stock as well as it has invested capital to purchase that machinery. So it is its capital stock. So when we have 100 machines and out of using that 100 machines, we are producing 1 lakh units of goods. 100 machines are the capital stock. And 1 lakh units of output represent productive capacity. Right? These 100 machines, how much is its productive capacity? 1 lakh units of goods. Simple. If the economy decides to increase the level of output, what does this mean? Like if the economy output is 1 lakh units, if we want to increase this 1 lakh units, what needs to be done? If the economy, like we want, if a company, 100 machines, we have capital stock, 1 lakh are production units. But what we want is the market needs more, we want more profit, more demand. So what we will do? We want to increase this 1 lakh units to suppose 2 lakhs. So for what we need to do? If the economy decides to increase the level of output, so we decide to increase the level of output from 1 lakh units to 2 lakh units. It has to produce more machines. Like so 100 machines, 100 capital stock of machines can only produce 1 lakh product output, 1 lakh units of output. If we want to increase the output, we need to increase the machinery capital stock also we need to increase, because that much capacity only it has, right? 100 machines can only produce 1 lakh units of output. If we want to increase the output to 1 lakh to 2 lakh, we need to increase the capital stock, that is the machinery also. Producing new machines is also called capital formation or investment. We need to make more investment in the machinery. We need to increase the capital stock. If we throughout the year 50 machines are produced, then these 50 machines will be the investment from them. We want now as a company, what we want? More 50 machines to make this production unit to 2 lakh, right? So we want our need is we want more 50 machines as a company. So someone else will produce more 50 machines in the economy. We require that, right? We require more 50 machines. Someone else will produce those 50 machines for us. And we will make that investment in the 50 machines. Right? 50 machines will be the investment for the economy. The economy can start the production with 150 machines as the new capital stock in the next year. And we will increase the productive capacity to 2 lakh. I am taking an assumption here, it's not 2 lakh. We can assume that 150 machines will produce 2 lakh. Got it? So not the concept they are saying. If we want to increase the productive capacity, we need to increase the capital stock. Barabar? Types of investment. Real investment. An increase in the real capital stock is called real investment. For example, machines, raw material, buildings and other types of capital goods. When we increase the capital stock, it is called real investment. For example, machines, raw material, buildings and other types of capital goods. If you missed the concept? Oh God. Okay, so I'll repeat it again. See, there are 100 machines. Please pay attention. There are 100 machines. Out of these 100 machines, we can produce 1 lakh units. So these 100 machines are the capital stock, and these 1 lakh units are the productive capacity. If we want to increase the productive capacity, there is more demand in the market. We want to increase 1 lakh to 2 lakh. What we need to do? We need to increase the machines also. So we'll purchase more machines. So that is, we'll purchase it from someone else. That is our requirement. So that will be our investment, right? And that investment, again 150 machines will increase the production capacity. You got it? Okay.
Types of investment. Real investment. An increase in the real capital stock is called real investment. For example, machines, raw material, buildings, and other types of goods.
So what is real investment? When a company's capital stock increases, that is a real investment for the company. Because if the capital stock increases, in turn the output will increase, right? So that is a real investment for the organ. Portfolio investment. The purchasing of new shares of a company is called portfolio investment. You know this concept? The company issues shares and... Okay.
Purchasing of an existing share from another shareholder is not an investment because it cannot increase the capital stock of the company, right?
So, we'll discuss this concept. I purchase a share of Hindustan Unilever. I get that share. I pay that amount, 100 shares. I pay 10,000 rupees. So, I pay 10,000 rupees to Hindustan Unilever, and Hindustan Unilever gives me its shares. So what happens in the duration of time after 1 or 2 years? I think that I require some amount for my own purpose. So what I do is that I sell the shares of Hindustan Unilever. You are ready to purchase Hindustan Unilever shares of that point of time. I sell these shares, 1,000 shares to you, and you gave me, I had paid 10,000. You gave me 20,000. So does Hindustan Unilever benefit anything? The company as I'll repeat the example again. See, I want some shares. Listen carefully, everyone. I want some shares of Hindustan Unilever. I pay 10,000 rupees, purchase 1,000 shares of Hindustan Unilever. Hindustan Unilever gives me those shares. I own the shares of Hindustan Unilever. See, and after 1 or 2 years of duration, I think that I require some amount for my personal needs. I require money and I don't have other amount. So what I do is that you are ready to purchase Hindustan Unilever shares. So I sell these shares to you. You pay me 20,000 rupees and I give those shares, 10 shares to you. So does Hindustan Unilever benefit, or I benefit, you benefit, who benefits? Hindustan Unilever is not benefiting, right? शेयर प्राइस बढ़ने का छोड़ दो, बड़ा वो छोड़ दो. अपने को देखना है उनके शेयर में कुछ उनका does Hindustan Unilever shares increase? हाँ, the price has increased, that is fine, they are benefiting. But there were 100 shares. If I give it to you, do those shares become 200? Does the shareholding of Hindustan Unilever increase? No. So even if I transfer the shares to anyone over a period of time, that does not benefit Hindustan Unilever in terms of increasing the shareholding, right? That they are explaining. So the investment is 100 shares in case of me. In case of you also with Hindustan Unilever, it is 100 shares. We will not take the price into consideration, amount of shares, because the price overall can decrease also, right? Yes. So the amount of shares that Hindustan Unilever's shareholder is having, even if I have, you have, it is 100. So Hindustan Unilever in terms of shareholding is not benefiting. Does their shares increase? No. So even if the ownership of the share is transferred to any other person, the company's shareholding or the number of shares that the company has does not increase.
So that is mentioned here. The purchasing of an existing share from another shareholder is not an investment. Why? Because it cannot increase the capital stock of the company. Capital stock is what? The shares. Do they increase? No. So even if I transfer the shares to you, you transfer it to anyone else, the amount of shares, number of shares remain the same. Capital stock is, we are discussing, does the capital stock increase? Capital stock is shares, not the price, right? You are saying the price increases, so this Dan Unilever will benefit. We are not discussing about the price. We are discussing about capital stock. Capital stock is shares. Shares do not increase even though they are transferred. So that is, it cannot increase the capital stock of the company. So it is not an investment. It is the savings that are invested. In the product market, in the macroeconomics framework, equilibrium will be established when the following equation holds. Macroeconomic, we are not discussing about microeconomic. They are clearly mentioned here. In the product market, in macroeconomic framework, Y is equal to C plus I, where Y is the national income or output, C is the consumption demand, and I is the investment made. So, it is simple. What is the national income? Tell me. We'll not discuss it on a national level. We'll discuss it on an individual level so everyone gets the correct answer. So what is my income? You can tell me. How much? No, not that. I'll tell you. It's not that concept. I'll tell you. See. Income is equal to what? Consumption plus savings. Right? Suppose if I consume, my income is 10,000. I consume 8,000 and save 2,000. So what is the equation of income? It is how much I consume plus how much I save. So here same only they have made. But on a national level, what they have said is national income is consumption plus the investment made. We will ultimately that savings where it will go? In the investment. So that is the concept. So the national income is consumption plus investment. So if you don't recall like what is they ask you Y is equal to C plus I in the MCQ. Where Y is the national income, C is the consumption, I is the investment demand. Instead of, they give you options. And if you do not recall Y is equal to C plus I, then what you will do? You will take an individual example. What is my income? My consumption plus my savings or my investment. Right? So, that only applies to the national level, right? So what will be the national income? National consumption plus national savings or national investments that the people have made. So what I want to say here is don't get confused. Try to go on a smaller level. Try to go get the logic. Try to find it out on an individual level. What happens in the examination is what? We see these equations and we get confused and we try to mug up or we try to what most people, because the portion is very big, what equation you'll mug up, right? If you get the concept what I told you at an individual level, what is an individual's income? How much he consumes plus how much he saves or invests. So that only applies on a national level. National income is equal to national consumption plus national savings or investment. Got it? In simple terms you are able to understand. The right hand side of the equation is aggregated demand and the left side of the equation is aggregated supply. Demand and supply. In equilibrium, aggregated demand is exactly equal to the aggregated supply. Aggregated supply or national income can be divided into, first we'll see, Y is equal to C plus I. So Y is what? Out of, it got on a different page again. Shit. Wait.
Here it is. Is there any page number where we can? What is national income? Is it a demand or supply? Income. Out of income, what we can do? Huh?
No, I am asking you a simple question. Is my income my demand? What will I do out of that income? Will I have a demand or will I have a supply?
Right. So national income is a national demand and
Wait. This page is again, I'm not on that page. It's getting hanged here. Just a bookwork. I'm going on that page. What is the page number? Page number 18.
1818.
Okay. Here. Okay, here. I'll use this.
You can look into
We'll concept 18 page only we'll discuss now.
because guys, look into your books.
Page number 18.
No, don't look on that projector because the page is not getting.
We'll discuss this concept, right? I have here. The right side of the equation is aggregate demand and the left side of the equation is aggregate supply.
Right, because with that income we will create a demand, because if we have that income we can purchase goods and create demand, right?
And what is this supply? Equation is aggregate to supply. In equilibrium, aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply. Aggregate supply or national income can be subdivided into two parts, namely consumption and savings. It's just the same.
What we discussed at an individual level. What is the national income? Consumption plus savings or investment.
Therefore, equilibrium equation can also be consumption plus savings. What is this? Not required in consumptions plus savings.
Again on the, see guys, what is the national income is also consumption plus savings. So instead of national income Y, in place of Y, what did they put? Look into your books, you have the books. Y is equal to C plus I. What is national income? Again consumption plus savings. So instead of Y, what did they put there? C plus savings. So consumption plus savings is equal to consumption plus investment, right?
Just a minute. You look on the. That will be much. Yeah. It's on 250, 200. So it will take a lot of time.
Everyone is understanding the concept? Huh?
Okay. I'll do that only. Instead of, I have the book. See, national income is equal to Y. Y is the national income is equal to consumption plus investment, right?
For the nation.
So at an individual level, what we saw, national income is equal to consumption plus savings. National income. So we will replace that.
That is national income only. Y is national income only.
We will replace that national income with consumption plus savings is equal to consumption plus investment. And again, this CC will get cancelled, right? So what is it?
Savings is equal to investment. So what in turn it's same, how much we save, we will invest, right?
So in the equilibrium, savings is equal to investment, but there is no guarantee that these two should be always equal,
Right. Savings will always be equal to the investment is not right, right? Always will the savings be equal to investment? No.
This is because savings are made by households while investments are undertaken by the
Businessmen.
their motives are
Completely different. Businessmen will think of making profit for their organization. Individual savings will be looking for their own, making further investments or for their children or for their, so their motives are different. So always they can't be the same because they are not the same for persons which they are. Savings is made by the individuals, investments are made by the businessmen or the firms.
note. If there is foreign investment, then savings are not equal to investment.
Again, there is another thing. If in the nation they are having some foreign investment, will that investment be equal to the savings? Because investment will be large, because individual nations investment as well as the foreign investment. So investment amount will be more and the savings will be only the individual savings of that nation, right? Yeah, it will be a liability, but we are just focusing on whether the savings will be equal to investment. No, because there are foreign investments.
Gross investment and net investment. The aggregate investment made by the economy during the year is called gross investment. The gross investment includes inventory investment, fixed investment. Inventory investment, investment in raw materials, semi-finished and finished goods are called inventory investment.
See, gross investment is the overall investment that is made. It can be in two parts, inventory or fixed. You know the inventory, concept of inventory, everyone knows? Huh? Okay.
Investment in raw materials, semi-finished and
Finished goods is called inventory. Suppose I am a manufacturing company. So what will be my inventory? Whatever raw material I am purchasing, right? Whatever is in WIP, that is in process, work in progress. And after that, whatever the goods that are produced, even though that is my inventory, because even they are not yet sold, they will remain in my warehouse. So inventory,
So understand, inventory is equal to raw material plus work in progress, that is semi-finished goods, plus finished goods, that is the stock of goods, that is goods produced. This is the inventory.
so total inventory is what? The raw material that I have, the work in progress, that is the semi-finished goods, that is they are in progress, and after production, whatever goods we have, that they are also there in my warehouse because I have not sold them yet. And these three finished goods, stock of goods produced, all these three total will give you the inventory of the company or a nation.
Fixed investment. Fixed investments are like machines, buildings, factory shares.
These are called fixed investment. Right? Fixed capital we have, fixed cost, variable cost you may be knowing. Fixed cost is what? The machinery, whatever we have. Huh? Will we purchase the machinery again? It is a one-time investment, right? After 10, 15, 20 years, we'll purchase it when it becomes obsolete. If it is required, otherwise we can repair that machinery, right? रिपेयर भी कर सकते हैं ना उसको, रिपेयर भी कर सकते हैं उसको वेयर एंड टेयर कर सकते हैं, रिपेयर करके अच्छा बना सकते हैं. तो 15-20 साल की बात करेंगे तो वो एक कैपिटल इन्वेस्टमेंट है जो फिक्स्ड है. दैट इज फिक्स्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट, दैट इज लाइक फिक्स्ड कॉस्ट. We have, it is a type of fixed cost for the organization. Like machinery, building, factory. And inventory investment, total you got. What is inventory? Raw material, work in progress goods plus finished goods. That will form the total inventory. So this is the gross investment, whatever we make in inventory as well as fixed goods. So what is the net investment? By deducting the depreciation cost of capital from the gross investment, the net investment can be obtained. So gross investment. Will we have depreciation on inventory? Will we have depreciation on inventory? No, right? So the depreciation here will be only on fixed. Like on the fixed investment, right? Here we have fixed cost or fixed investment. So the depreciation, we have two concepts in gross investment: inventory investment, fixed investment. Inventory will not have any depreciation. So depreciation comes on fixed investment, fixed cost or fixed investment. So the net investment is gross investment minus the depreciation on fixed investment. Here it's just given depreciation, but gross investment has only two concepts: inventory investment and fixed investment. It's a common logic. Inventory will never have depreciation. So the depreciation comes on fixed investment. So the net investment is gross investment minus depreciation. So let's revise. Guys. So what is national income? Can anyone tell me? Consumption plus investment or slash savings. So Y is equal to, Y is national income, C is the consumption, I will be the investment or slash savings. Common. So national income is also consumption plus savings. So we will put national income as consumption plus savings or consumption plus investment in the equation. Consumption gets cancelled. Savings equal to investment. But is it that in all cases will the savings be equal to investment? No, we saw foreign investment might be there, or because savings are at an individual level and investments are made by businessmen, they always cannot be equal, right? Mostly they will be, approximately they can be equal, but not exactly equal, because there can be foreign investment in the nation, or because the savings are made by individuals and investments are made by businessmen. They are not the same individuals, their motives are different. So savings is not always equal to investment. So anyone tell me what is gross investment and net investment? Anyone? You can revise. Simple concept. Net investment, anyone can tell me the formula for net investment? Gross investment minus depreciation. And what is gross investment? It can be an investment in inventory or in fixed goods or inventory. What is inventory? We have raw material of the organization, we have work in progress goods, we have goods that are produced by the organization. That is finished goods. And fixed investment is normal, machinery, building. But depreciation will always be there on fixed investment, not on inventory, right? So these are some important concepts. So we'll revise some important concepts, because just 5-10 minutes we'll leave now. We'll revise something. These we are revised. Next we'll go. Market. So market, what it will determine? Market will determine the price of the goods, the quantity of the goods to be produced, right? Market will only determine, right? If there is more need, more buyers, more goods will be produced. Price, market will determine the price and the quantity of the goods. And so now we'll move on to the PPC curve. PPC curve is an important topic. We'll revise that once. PPC curve is what? Production possibility curve. It shows the production possibility of the two goods with the scarce resources. Guys, we are revising. Everyone have their here. So PPC curve always slopes downward from left to right. Because production of one commodity is increased, the production of other commodity will be less, foregone, right?
And the marginal rate of transformation goes on increasing. It is concave to the origin.
If the PPC curve, anyone can tell me, if the PPC curve shifts right, what happens? Why? Because the goods and services with the available resources, production increases of those goods and services, with that only resources are available scarce, right? Because why this may happen? Because technological advancements might be there. Better, the same machinery that was producing 100 units, better technology will produce better. So PPC curve, technological advancements only lead to economic growth, right? So PPC curve shifts, right? There is an economic growth. What is a bond? Is bond a personal wealth or a national wealth? If I transfer shares of Hindustan Unilever to someone else, will the capital stock of increase? Because Hindustan Unilever shares 100 is a capital stock. 100 capital stock of Hindustan Unilever does not increase even though if I transfer the shares to anyone else.
We are just revising it.
What are the factors of production? What are the central problems of economy? What to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce. So how to produce, how we will determine? No. How to produce, what we will produce. How means, well, just a minute. What are the central problems? First tell me this, what are the 3 central problems of the economy? What to produce, how we will decide? If there is a necessity, need in the economy, then we will produce. Then we will decide what to produce. If there is a requirement, see here, requirement of the society. How to produce? How we will produce it? Labor intensive or capital intensive technique. How will produce it? We have only 2 options, either to use labor intensive technique or to use capital intensive technique. So labor intensive technique, if labor is cheap, we will use labor intensive technique. Capital intensive technique, capital machinery and all that we are getting at cheaper rate, we will use capital intensive technique. Simple. How to produce this? We have 2 alternatives, labor intensive technique, capital intensive technique. We will decide based on the which is cheap. Labor is cheap, we'll use labor intensive technique, which is if capital is cheap, we'll use capital intensive technique. So how to produce is got. What to produce? If there is a necessity in the economy, there is a need in the economy, we will produce that goods or we will produce that goods. For whom to produce? No. For whom to produce? Whether you will produce for a rich person, a middle class person or a poor person, how you will decide? No, but it will depend on the government policy, right? Government will, see, this is not clear here. Up till, I think this, everything you, at the start you are missing. So this we got, everything is clear. We will revise this one. I'll write down. Let's see. These 3 are very important concepts. See, look on the board. There are central problems to the economy. These are the central problems. In short, I am telling in a summary. We'll revise this. This is important. What to produce? How will decide? If there is a need, there is a requirement in the economy of that good, we will produce it. Common logic. If there is a requirement, we will produce it.
How to produce? There are two ways we can produce. Either we'll use capital intensive technique or we will use labor intensive technique. If we have cheap labor, we will use labor intensive technique and we will not use capital intensive technique. If capital is cheap, we will use capital intensive technique and not use labor intensive technique. And third is for whom to produce. For if we want to produce for the rich, poor or the middle class.
But we as a company cannot, this will totally depend for the nation. This will totally depend on the government policy, right? Where the government wants to emphasize, where it wants to grow. So that totally depends on the government policy, right? Government policy determines what are the commodities to be produced and for whom. So tell me these three. Anyone can tell me. This is very important. What are the three centered problems? What to produce? How we will determine? This requirement, need requirement of the economy or economy. How to produce? Whichever is cheaper, we will use that technique. And for whom to produce? That will be totally dependent on the nation's government policy.
Anything which we have revised the PPC curve, we have revised the central problems of economy.
That is, I am just revising what are the important things. Economic definition is not, that means it is important to know what is the economics definition, but I am revising the concepts which are very important. Economics definition is fine, anyone can analyze it. So we revised. So once I'll revise and then we can leave. Chalo. Central problems of economy. What to produce? We will revise. What to produce will be determined on the necessity or the need of the economy. How to produce will be determined. We will produce either by the capital intensive technique or labor intensive technique. Whichever is cheaper, labor or capital, we will use that. For whom to produce will be determined by the government policy. PPC curve is the production possibility curve, which determines the possibilities of the production of two goods with the available resources. PPC curve always slopes downward from left to right. What is personal wealth? National wealth. Bond is a personal wealth. It's not a national wealth, because in turn the interest on the bond that we are getting will be our personal gain, not a national gain. Functions of market. Market determines the price of the goods, the quantity of the goods to be produced.
This one is important, like
national income is equal to consumption plus investment or savings. In why we will replace it with consumption and savings. So consumption, what? Savings is equal to investment in most cases, but it's not always, because there can be foreign investments and savings are made by individuals. Investments are made by businessmen. These two are different persons. Their motive is different. Gross investment, net investment. Net investment is equal to gross investment minus depreciation. Gross investment can be of two types, inventory and Fixed investment, inventory is total of raw material, work in progress and finished goods, right? And fixed investments can be machinery, buildings, and depreciation will always be there on fixed investment, not on inventory. Guys, fine? Any questions? I think this is okay for today. Otherwise, we will go over the head, right? Just try to focus on the concepts. Once you clear the concepts, you can solve any MCQ. Right? Give more focus on clearing the concepts. And what I told you, allocate equal time to 4 subjects. Don't just focus on one subject, because if you are not able to get required marks in one subject, you will surely lose, right? And go home and revise this, so it will get fit into your mind. Okay? Okay, chalo. All the best, guys. Thank you. Chalo, bye. So topics are covered.
Select any stream in the YouTube. Select exit in OBS.